Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin. This is my co-host Teddy. I apologize in advance for all the noise going on. It's just been a shocker today. I'm trying to sort of film around it, but you know, we can only do so much. But let's get on to the video anyways. And today we're going to be covering, I think, the first Viewsonic monitor that I've ever reviewed. It's going to be the Viewsonic VX2757-mhd, and it's a 27-inch FreeSync 1080p gaming monitor. So this is a bit more of a mainstream monitor that I think most of us could afford, rather than the super high-end ones that I often do that I think only the enthusiast would ever actually end up buying. So let's jump right in to the review then with the specs. So panel wise, it's got a 27-inch TN LCD panel with a resolution of 1920 by 1080, so it's 1080p. Frequency wise, it goes up to 75 Hz, so it's a bit of a jump up from the standard 60 Hz that you normally see on a 1080p monitor. Response time is very good at 1 ms. Has a contrast ratio of 1200 to 1. It has WLED backlighting and has 72% NTSC color gamut, which is really cool. And also it's featuring FreeSync, which if you don't know what FreeSync is, I'll just sum it up really quick. It basically will eliminate tearing from the display because it syncs up the monitor's refresh rate to the frame output from your graphics card, but it only works for AMD, so keep that in mind. So let's move on now to the design. So design-wise, it looks pretty stock. It's definitely a very safe design, but yeah, very stock. It has the silver accents at the bottom and on the base, which are a nice touch, but honestly, it is going to be very stock looking. You're not going to be blowing anyone away with this monitor. Now, what I do like is that it has a 100 by 100 VESA mounting, which is going to appeal to some people out there, not all of us. But in terms of adjustment, it is quite lacking. So all you're going to be getting is tilt, and that's it. So I guess it's better than nothing, but yeah, not very much in the way of adjustment. Now, in terms of I/O, it's coming with VGA. What's that, Teddy? Why is it coming with VGA on a FreeSync monitor? I have absolutely no idea, but it's there. It's also coming with some more appropriate ports, like an HDMI 1.4 port, DisplayPort 1.2, audio in and out 3.5mm jacks, and just power in. It doesn't have a brick, it's just, you know, got an internal power board, so that's really good also. Moving on to image quality, and the first thing you're going to notice if you get this monitor is that from the factory, the brightness is set, like maxed out, and it is just way too bright. So you're going to want to bring that down a bit because it's just really bright out of the factory. But yeah, it has brightness for days, so that's like the one good part of it. Light bleed was pretty minimal. I didn't really see much of it, so that was really good. The colors are actually pretty accurate for a TN panel right out of the box, so I was quite impressed with that. However, it still has the typical TN terrible viewing angles, so yeah, this one's only going to be really good if you're looking at it straight on. Just something to be aware of. Now, it's also coming with their black stabilization, which is really good. It just brightens up the sort of dark areas when you're playing games, so you can always see everything. I really actually do like this. Otherwise, you're always having to mess with the brightness and contrast, and this just eliminates the need for that. It's really good, especially if you're playing competitive games where it might give you a bit of an edge if you see the people just that much faster. So that was a really cool thing, and of course the FreeSync just works perfectly. It just gives you another level of immersion because you're not seeing any tearing or anything like that. I just really like it, and I think all monitors going forward will have you know, either FreeSync or G-Sync, or if there's another standard that comes out. I think every monitor will go towards it. Gaming monitor will go towards it in the future like they already are. For general use, you know, you're like watching movies, browsing the web, typing documents, it's going to do you just fine. It's just pretty typical for what you would assume for a standard 1080p display. One thing I do like though is the fact that it has a blue light filter and their flicker free technology, and that just helps your eyes. I get really like dry eyes and stuff like that, but I didn't notice it was that bad on this monitor when I've been using it for, you know, hours and hours and hours at a time. And I do notice that sometimes on some of the other ones I test, so I thought that was another really good feature with it. It's coming with dual integrated speakers, but they're only okay, to put it nicely. Yeah, you're definitely going to be wanting to invest in a good pair of headphones or some good speakers, because yeah, these ones will get you by if you need it, but they're definitely not the best. So yeah, look for some other speakers if you're someone that takes your audio seriously. Now, control-wise, the controls are on the back, which is a bit trippy at first because you go to push them on the front, but you know, it doesn't do anything. But the menu is really well laid out. Everything's very easy to adjust, so that's quite cool. It has a few presets as well. Some of them are really good, so that's really handy. So straight out of the box, you can just find the preset that suits you and probably just leave it on that, and you should be good to go from there. Which brings us now to the conclusion, and what do I make of the Viewsonic VX2757-mhd? So I think it's a super solid 27-inch FreeSync 75Hz monitor. This isn't going to be a big upgrade for a lot of people, but if you just have, say, a standard non-gaming 1080p monitor and you're wanting to just, you know, bump it up a little bit, you don't have a lot of money to spend, but you're just in the market for a new monitor, then hey, seriously take a look at this monitor because it'll be a bit of an upgrade. The 75Hz makes a little bit of difference, but it's probably not going to be that noticeable to the majority of gamers out there. However, the FreeSync is quite noticeable, so you will like that. Now, price-wise, it's going to be coming in at 429 New Zealand dollars over at Playtech. I think that's a pretty decent deal for a 1080p monitor. It's a little bit more on the high end, but considering the features it has, I think it's still quite a decent deal. And obviously this is going to be different depending on where you live, but when I've looked internationally, I still think the price for what it is a pretty good deal. But the one thing I will say is be aware of its limitations. As I said, the internal speakers are pretty rubbish. Of course, it is a TN panel, so remember that there are all the limitations that go along with a TN panel, like viewing angles and the colors sometimes, but it is still a pretty good TN panel. I'm not trying to sell it short, but yeah, it is still TN at the end of the day. So be aware of those limitations when you go into buying this monitor. And of course, if you're someone who likes a lot of adjustment, also be aware that it only does have tilt. But all of those things aside, I think it's a really solid 1080p monitor, and I would recommend it to anybody out there looking for either a good upgrade to their just more standard 1080p monitor, or someone who's building a gaming PC for the first time and just looking to buy their first gaming monitor. I would also recommend it, so definitely check it out, guys. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.